From the time when Roger Bacon had expounded the use of lenses to make the stars appear as close as we please, nearly 3 centuries elapsed before the Netherlander Lippershey brought the early European telescope into being. This venturing forth into the Copernican universe proved to be a somewhat inflammatory matter, as the prompt incineration of Fiordano Bruno by the Holy Office proved. The more cautious Hollanders evidently condoned their telescopic visions to those of distant ships and church towers. Galileo, having also made himself a telescope, was rather too voluble regarding his observations of the cosmos, so the Holy Office quickly slammed the door on him. With a prince-bishop for an uncle and command of numerous cannon into the bargain, the instigator of the new cosmic age, Copernicus, died peacefully in bed, sans smoke or flame. The light of his discoveries, portentous of the advent of the cosmic science, soon penetrated and dispersed the theological obscurity which had endured for centuries. To the early observers, the face of the moon, through their low-powered instruments, appeared similar in feature to Earth, having seas and continents of familiar shape and appearance. Some observers even claimed that they could see large animals upon the lunar landscape and ships navigating the lunar seas. This complacent picture quickly vanished when, by the 1750s, improved telescopes revealed the stark terrors of a lunar world without any resemblance to aught that was comprehensible or remotely familiar. An alien world devoid of atmosphere to soften the solar flare, all color dying in the thunderous impact of black and light. Surprised astronomers were now able to see that although the lunar sphere was only 1/4 the size of Earth, disproportionately, the lunar mountains towered to heights equal to and surpassing those of Earth, while many craters possessed abysmal similar depths. Many lunar mountain ranges, in side views, appeared to have white summits with dark lower reaches, as though capped with glaciers. This glaciation is an impossible feature, as over many years constant observation has failed to detect any trace of cloud formations in lunar skies. No snows, no glaciers. Centuries of assiduous observation of the lunar features having failed to reveal the presence of a lunar atmosphere, other than illusory effects that might possibly occur with a nebulous tenuous. Paradoxically, when the moon lies at certain angles between the Earth and Sun during the early crescents, a bright ring of light, indicating atmospheric piping of sunlight, surrounds the moon, as does the earthly piping of the solar image after it has actually set below the horizon. Thus, we still see the sun for half an hour before and after its actual rising and setting. In a similar but inexplicable manner, we have the phenomenon of the old moon bearing the young moon in its arms. For this astronomical science has no explanation. Advent of the modern telescopes, which transpose the vision point to within 400 miles of the lunar surface, instead of clarifying the nature of the composition of lunar elements, seemed to add further to the confusion. Despite the aid of other instruments and the invaluable supplement of photographic record, human vision still retains its supremacy as the most perceptive instrument. Both to the observer's eye and to the photographic plate, the lunar features present a dun, almost metallic appearance, seemingly dry and arid with a marked dusty surface similar in most astronomers' opinions to the lava deserts of Earth. The dusty schools even go so far as to state that the accumulated dust may reach hundreds of feet in depth in many areas. With the adoption of the Laval theory, the lunar seas most now also partake of this feature and become volcanic glass, although these range from crystal clarity to full opacity. A most improbable feature with either volcanic lava or natural volcanic glass, neither of which would produce the circular ring patterns present all over the lunar surface, polygonal and conchoidal by culling and impact being the characteristic features of Laval and glass formations. With so unyielding a substance as cooled lava flows, it could only be expected that the many lunar features would retain a frigid immobility amidst a world upon which nothing could or did move or change shape, save by countries-long imperceptible degrees under the stresses of temperature extremes. Astronomical records, however, do not confirm this inferred rigidity of lunar features. To the contrary, observatory records abound with descriptions of changes and disappearances. ranging from minor craters to rift valleys extending for 40 miles or more. Clefts which slash through mountain ranges, only to vanish overnight, leaving yet another lunar mystery to perplex scientists as to their probable nature. Astronomer Schroeder reported the disappearance of a prominent crater, Alhazen, which he had been utilizing as a measuring point while mapping the moon. Overnight, where a large crater had been, all that is now visible is a whitish spot with a central vent lying flush with the surrounding plain. Gwyn Elgar reported the erasure from the lunar features of the miles-long Rift Canyon which had been named after him. A gigantic lunar feature which pierced mountain ranges, yet had vanished suddenly. Now all that can be perceived in the area of the former Elgar's Cleft is a line of elevated mounds upon either side of which lie lesser parallel rifts. Similar changes of rift areas have also been observed in many other lunar areas together with sudden appearances and disappearances of dome structures. The latter the source of pentagonal flaps as they may house hostiles. Almost as though designed with intent to relieve the monotony of lunar observation, two lunar craters, Messier and Pickering, were observed to instantly change both their geometric shapes, and more surprisingly their sizes, in a lunar version of bumps and grinds. As to how this change of shape and size in so reputedly solid elements transpires, scientists are at a total loss for an explanation. Lunar mountains also present to observers many other displays of untoward phenomena. Many acquire luminous flows at sunrise, while others such as Pico, Piton, and Lahire throw off radiant beams of light like celestial lighthouses. Most remarkably, however, these manifestations inexplicably take place in irregular patterns of sequences, being visible during one lunation and absent upon another. For a supposedly dead world, the moon displays a most enlivening repertory of deceptive illusions and flowing light. Sparkling lights in their pre-dawn dark clefts, spreading shadows which creep across the crater floors, contrariwise to the angle of solar incidence, and which seem to possess a life of their own. Other shadows cast upon lunar plains, seemingly that of a gigantic arched bridge, observed by J. O'Neill upon one occasion, but which later vanished from view, as did the elevated causeway observed by Dr. Wilkins in the same area. A more permanent tower appeared during early lunation upon the crater Janssen. This moon tower, first observed by Hensley, has subsequently been seen by other observers, and is visible through 3- and 4-inch telescopes, which reveal the scintillant revolving lights upon the tower summit. You can see it. Yet, what is it? To that question as yet there is no answer available. Similarly, nothing is known regarding the mysterious haze which will obscure the floors of some craters while neighboring areas are free of impediment to vision. Or the sources of dark spots, dark bars and bars of light which appear in many areas. Or the cause of rainbow-tinted illusionary shadow mists which sweep across some lunar seas. Even the nature of the lunar craters and their probable origins are of questionable doubt at the present time, as meteoric impacts could not have originated their characteristic features or account for the central vents present in the mid-crater peaks, or the absence of these peaks within others, or the linear patterns which crater incidences follow. Stranger still are the vast radial white streaks which radiate from major and minor craters crossing plains and mountains in undeviating lines of splotched white dry brush streaks, which are of unknown elements. Although these radials spread on all sides of the majority of craters, there are many exceptions to the rule. Notably Proclus, upon the margin of the Mare Tranquillitatis, which has no visible streaks radiating to the west, although it is one of the most brilliantly whitened areas upon the moon. Numerous other prominent large craters being either free from, or having very minor radial streaks. One feature regarding these active areas of the moon, which receives general agreement among astronomers and scientists, is that these features of highest whites are invariably adjacent to the darkest areas upon the lunar surface. No one, however, has as yet been able to elucidate the implications of these associate features or their physical nature. Brilliantly pristine white as are these areas, their origin cannot be that of snowfalls during past millennia, as cosmic dusts would long ago have sullied into obscurity any such surfaces, or those composed of mineral salts and other elements. While not entirely exhaustive of the anomalous lunar features, the foregoing are fairly representative of those which baffle all attempted solutions as to their geophysical makeup. Although within the range of adequate telescopic vision, our nearest neighbor in space still holds inviolate the secrets of its compositional being, despite nearly 2 centuries of intensive peering and probing into the lunar world from Earth. From the multitude of descriptive records by astronomers of their visual impressions, all are obviously viewing the same phenomena, which is confirmed by their descriptive correspondences. Interpretive conclusions as to the nature of the phenomena, however, vary widely, as the lack of comparable features upon Earth to those of the Moon check attempted resolutions of the problematic lunar features which remain as great a mystery as they were over a century ago.